Hi guys, it's Steph from IDRIVEACLASSIC, and today I'm out at the Morris Minor National Rally at Kelmarsh Hall, and I'm so excited to show you all the cars. And I don't want to forget somebody special. Mary's here with us today, so she's done Belgium, she's done France, she's done Germany, and now she's at Kelmarsh Hall. In today's video I'm going to show you all around the show, give you little snippets of what's going on, including the Soapbox Derby this afternoon, which I'm super excited to show you. So let's go and have a look at some cars. Honestly, I am so overwhelmed with how many cars are here. There are hundreds of Morris Minors in different colours, original colours, specialty colours, custom colours, and all sorts of different modifications, right through from, you know, the wacky, which you'll see, through to standard, like some of these. And honestly, there is a Morris Minor for every single person in the world here, especially if you like a bit of speed, because some of the custom cars you're going to see are amazing. And I'm going to have a chat with some of the owners too, because there's some people here today that it's their first national rally, and there's other people that have come all the way from New Zealand. So let's have a chat with some owners and see what they think.
Hi, I'm Moira. I've been coming to the National Morris Minor Rally for about 25 years now. Myself and my husband Steve, we've had minors for about 25-30 years. It's just a lovely opportunity to meet up with everyone, have fun, bring your minor out, have a nice picnic, have a good fun. There's always a party in the evening with the disco, and stay up late and bust a few moves and just have a general catch up and have a great time and meet lovely people and just have a really fun and wonderful time.
Hi, my name's Mary Oliver, and I'm here with my fiancé Clive Lucas and our car Libby, who is named after her number plate. We bought her just over a year ago, and we came to this rally last year. We didn't bring her because we literally just got her, and we came up in a modern car. Absolutely fell in love with the place. We came down the hill and it was just a dream, just a field of Morris Minors. And we didn't camp, but we really enjoyed the party in the marquee. Everyone was so friendly. Anyone we spoke to, they were full of advice. They just wanted to tell us their stories. And even the party, everyone's straight up dancing, no problem at all, being brand new to the club. We get minor matters, which we love, full of advice, and that's how we chose Libby, because we saw the centre picture of a car called Miss Rainbow. We met her owner last year, and we then bought our Libby, who's identical. This year we've come along. Thankfully the weather is as fabulous. We were very worried. We have camped, which has been great fun. Everyone's talking to us. We're so welcome. And now we found out that Libby is more famous than we realised. She had a very well-known owner called Kath. So we're now learning all about her history, and once again we've got advice from people. They've shown us around their cars, they've come to our car and said open the bonnet. So I highly recommend, men, women, children, any age, dogs, everybody. It's a lovely, warm family feeling, whether you've been here 43 years or just a few like we have.
Now this is something really special. This is a Morris Minor Million. Now you may have not seen one before, and if you haven't, I'm going to tell you a little bit of exciting history. The Morris Minor was the first car to sell 1 million units, and to commemorate they made this amazing lilac coloured car, but they only made 350. They were made with a 948cc engine, and they were all two-door saloons, and as you can see they all had cream interior with black piping. And why did they pick lilac? Well, unfortunately ICI, who also made crimpling, my favourite fabric, weren't able to achieve gold or silver paint, and they suggested this amazing purple colour instead. And to be honest, I think they made the better choice, because this colour is truly amazing, and I think this car is something very special. So let's catch up with the owner to find out a little bit more about this car and find out a little bit more history.
Hello, my name's Andrew Dyer, and this is Millie, my Morris Minor Million. As I guess a lot of Morris Minor owners will know, the Morris Minor was the first British car that ever sold 1 million units. And so to celebrate, BMC made a special edition, which was a pretty unusual thing to do in 1961. They made 350 cars, and this is number 20 of them. I've come all the way, as you can see from my t-shirt, from New Zealand, but actually Millie lives in Norfolk. And I've come back for the summer, and so it's lovely to be reunited with her. I've owned her for 34 years now, and we're married, really. A great partnership. and I bought her from the daughter of the original owner, and we've had a huge number of adventures, lots of trips overseas, and also to rallies like this.
Now, if you've watched my Morris Minor video, you'll notice that these are a little bit different to Mary, for example, the Morris Minor that we took to Belgium, and to my Morris Minors as well, which of course Bea and Martha and Nancy, if you've seen her, she's currently in bits. Anyway, these are slightly different because they're Series 2, and they were made between 1952 and 1956, and over 250,000 were produced, which is amazing considering A, cars weren't cheap at the time, and B, cars were a massive luxury. And it really, you know, as we've already heard in this video, the Morris Minor was the first car to sell over 1 million units in the UK, and it's not easy to see why they were so popular when we look round. And even when they took them out on, you know, when their publications took them out and journalists took them out, they were achieving nearly 40 mpg, which even now for a car isn't bad going. So if you think back to the 50s, that's insane. And you know, there were ingenious inventions like this. So you see the rubber wings on this van, they were fitted to post office vans because post office drivers weren't exactly the best drivers, and it meant that, you know, small dings and scrapes could be easily knocked out. And it's so nice that people have kept stuff like this going, because for me it's a massive part of not just motoring history but our history as well, our British history, because little things like that get forgotten, or there's just pictures in museums, and it's such a privilege to come to shows like this and see them out in the wild. Now, you'll probably notice some cars have bonnets up and some don't, and the cars that have the bonnets up are being judged. And as you've probably already seen in previous videos, my friend Richard is very exact on his details and knows an awful lot about Morris Minors, and he's actually a judge on the Series 2 cars. So I thought what we could do is catch up with Richard and find out how he's judging these cars and deciding which is actually the very best on display.
Hello, I'm Richard. Yeah, we're doing the judging class for MM and Series 2. It's me and Andrew who's over there-ish. You do it by different categories: underside, engine, interior, exterior. They didn't give us proper forms this year really, so we've had to sort of scribble it out. But you just go through the motions really, and you kind of, you know, I do a bit of a mix. You've got the condition of it, you know, like the finish, the paint, the way it's been actually restored, and then also you've got, is that actual part they used, is that the right one? And so you kind of balance the two. I sort of probably more than some people go on the what parts have been used, because I think that authenticity, because I think cars are like tactile and stuff like the trims on these cars, you know, some of them had re-trims and some of them have the original trims, and we've given that car there, that platinum grey car, that's got the highest trim score. We've given that the highest interior, even though it's not a retrimmed one. It's the most authentic, and it is really nice. It's the real deal basically. So that one's, you know, I've sort of gone off the authenticity on that one. But yeah, it's just we have to go through the motions with them really, and pick the best and go from there.
Now, I thought I'd take you for a quick walk round the Morris Travellers, and for those of you who didn't know, and I'm sure you probably already do, that wood is structurally integral to the car, and this is my favourite colour. It's lime flower. I wish I could get my saloon in this colour. It's so 70s. Now, as we look round, you'll probably notice that everybody's wood is in very good shape, and that is because if you don't, your car will basically fall apart. And then this is another one of my favourite Morris Travellers, and it's owned by a guy called Matt Giverts, and he drove this car all the way to Mongolia. And if you look on the side, Adventures with Albert, you can take a look at his page, and he documented his whole adventure, and it was a few years ago actually. I think it's on the back here, I think it was 2015, because I remember I watched his adventures and I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. And he just went over and he did it all by himself, and I really enjoyed watching it actually. And one of the other nice things that I haven't really discussed is that a lot of people document all their adventures with stickers on the windows and stuff, and I know it sounds a bit soppy and sentimental, but I love when you can walk around and look in different people's windows and see their different adventures and stuff. Now, I wanted to catch up with somebody who is actually on their first Morris Minor National Rally to see what they thought of it.
Hello, my name's Michael. This is Lucy. It's the first time at the National Rally. Come all the way up from Plymouth, 238 miles. It was quite a long trip, give her a rest on the way up a couple of times. I've owned her for about 18 months now. Spent so far about £2,500 on doing mechanical stuff, which I'm doing this year. Next year I'm doing the underside. It's going to need 2 new sills, chassis legs. The engine's going to come out in the gearbox for that, and obviously go to a rollover. Get all the engine painted up, all new gaskets, stickers, all that kind of stuff. The actual inside of the car is all original. When I went to buy the car from Eastbourne, I had a look at the seats and the door cards, and I said to the lady, "Oh, when have you had it recovered?" And she said, "Never." So those seats are actually the original covering, never been done. It's on its original engine. It's currently on 90,000 miles. It even comes with the original bill of sale, which she paid £565 for when it was new. The first lady, who was also called Lucy, which the car name's after. I love the car. I'll never get rid of her. She's part of the family now. I went up to the rally just to basically see what it's like. It's my first one, and I don't think it'll be my last, to be honest.
I wasn't going to go around the Morris Minor National Rally and miss the modified and custom section, and this is actually owned by a young guy called David Dinwoody, and he's been knocking around for a few years. I've known him for quite some time, and this car is actually really cool. I mean, I'm not a big fan of massively modified cars myself, but when you strip it back down to the bare basics, that people build these cars, and if you think about it, for us with standard Morris Minors, it's easy. You look on page 78, it tells you to do such and such. When you build a car like this, or like some of the other modified cars, you have to work it out, I would guess, largely by yourself, or things kind of, or different ideas, or things have to mash together, because there's not a manual that's going to tell you how to do this. And so even though a heavily modified car isn't something that I would do, I have massive respect for these guys, because you have to be so technically minded to pull something like this off and for it to be a massive success. And I hope that as we have a look around these cars as well, that I'm kind of giving you a bit of an indication that the Morris Minor Owner Club isn't what some of the other car clubs would tell you, that it's a bit boring and full of old people. Yeah, there's a few old people, but you know what? It, for me, I would say, is one of the most exciting car clubs, and it's still growing. It's got a young members section. They're really open as well to modified cars and cars that are, you know, aren't fitting into the 2-door, the 4-door, you know, the series brackets. They're, you know, they're sitting and standing alone and doing something really different, and it's such an inclusive club as well. And I hope that I always mention that when I talk about the Morris Minor Owner Club, and it's something that I really love about the club, and I think it's quite relevant to talk about as we look around these very different cars, that whoever you are in the world and whatever you're into, or whoever you might be, the Morris Minor Owner Club is massively accepting. And I think that not every clique or club, or, you know, whatever you might be into is maybe into, you know, it's maybe so accepting. And that's one of the things I really love about the club, that no matter what you are, who you are, or what you're into, or what your car looks like, you're welcomed onto this rally field. And even if, you know, like me, you couldn't get your Morris Minor to the rally field, you are very welcome to come to the show, and you're made to feel, you know, just as welcome as someone who's managed to turn up at a Morris Minor. And if that doesn't make a good car show, then I don't know what does. Now, I thought I'd catch up with somebody from the custom register.
There you go. This is mine. This is roofless. I've only had this one a couple of months. It's a fantastic wee car. Driven it down for Scotland, 400 miles with the roof down. This is a Stevens. It's got an ST170 in it. We travel down the National every year. We come down every year. Next one's Robbins. It's got an MX-5 in it. I don't know much about the orange one or the one at the end. This one's a nice. It's got a K-series engine in it. Had it for a while. This is a custom register this side, and the modified cars are on that side. Don't get into the modified custom thing. What makes it a custom? What makes it modified? You'd be there all night talking to the guys. As far as I'm concerned, any car that's not standard is a custom. People customise their cars because they want them to look a wee bit more individual and have a wee bit of character.
If you spied all the attractive little placards that make out each different car section, they've been designed by a lady called Car Art by Emily, and you can just type in Car Art by Emily into Google and you'll find her page. One of the things that I really like about the National Rally is you get to see some different cars, and I don't know about other car meets because I don't really go to much else actually. I go to things like British Leyland meets and stuff like that, but in terms of single mark clubs, I don't actually tend to do anything else apart from the Morris Minor National Rally, and it's one of my favourite bits of the rally. And as I'm showing you around quite quickly, there are other cars which aren't Morris Minors, and I quite like that because people bring some interesting stuff like this Commer van, which, would you believe, I've managed to bag for a review, and this Maestro, which you may remember from my Belgium video, and I'm pleased to say that David made it home safely all the way back to Scotland, all the way from Belgium, in this amazing red Maestro, which actually is one of my favourite cars on the field. And then you've got this as well, so this is a Morris 1800, and as you come around, some of these cars are in such nice condition. I mean, I wish my cars were this nice. And this is a little bit older, this is an MG, and again, it's not really something that I tend to be quite fond of, this sort of stuff. It's a little bit older, a little bit more sporty, but I absolutely love seeing it on the field. And it's so nice because it gives, especially visitors, because some people come and visit these shows and they maybe aren't Morris Minor owners themselves, and it means that they get to see something a little bit different, and sometimes you get to see stuff that's a little bit different. And one of the cars that's on the field today actually is a Triumph Acclaim, which has come all the way from York, and again it's just super exciting. And this Cortina as well, again really nice to see on the field, and people are so friendly. And if you haven't been to a national rally before, and you haven't, or you know, maybe you haven't been to your first car show, that's one of the magic of these shows. Everyone's so friendly and you feel instantly welcome when you arrive. With so many amazing and beautiful cars on display at the National Rally, you can end up spoilt for choice, and sometimes I especially am very guilty of looking at a car and thinking, oh, that's nice, and not maybe taking in all the details. But I looked under the bonnet and it said surprise, surprise, and it made me think of my absolute style icon, Cilla Black, who is not only a 60s hero but also an absolutely amazing ginger woman. And I thought, right, I'm going to have a chat with this owner and ask him what this car's connection is to Cilla Black, because I love little stories and I love hearing about people's history, because I think that takes a car from being not just a car but something, you know, something that's maybe part of the family. So I've managed to twist the owner's arm, and he's going to tell us why this owner featured on the TV programme Surprise Surprise.
My name's Brian Bark. I'm the son of Jack and Maggie Bark, who had this car from new, bought in 1967. Unfortunately, it was stolen outside my mum and dad's bungalow in 1990 and was taken and joy rode round a field and burnt out. My mum and dad knew nothing about this, and they were completely surprised when we got it totally restored in 7 weeks, unbeknown to them, and they were featured on the Cilla Black's Surprise programme. They knew nothing about it, as I say. My dad was over the moon when he'd got his beloved car back. He'd owned it from new 1967, so he'd owned it for 23 years. Unfortunately, he died 11 months later. I've taken ownership of the car and have owned it since then until this present day. So it's been in the family from new right until this day. It was totally burnt out, as you can see from the pictures here. And restored by a team of mechanics, hence it being done in such a short space of time. I have taken it on the John O'Groats to Land's End Drive and raised £11,000 for the British Heart Foundation in doing so. I attend various rallies, and I still like to come to the obviously national rally on a yearly basis, but I attend local rallies in our area.
Unfortunately, as is with technology, and me not being very good with technology, I have lost some of my footage from the National Rally. However, I've still got my Travellers and my vans, and to be honest, they're my favourites because I do like a good workhorse, and I love the fact that people are just doing a little bit of work and chatting away and stuff, and I really like how some people are actually using their vans and their Travellers every day, and not just, you know, for normal use. You see people using them for business use as well, and I think that's really nice. It's a real testament to how quality these vehicles are, that people were using them back in the day and they're using them now as well. Some of these vehicles are over 50 years old and they're being used every day just for whatever. And here's an interesting little fact for you if you've never seen one. This is a post office van, because in the UK the post office service used to use Morris Minor vans, which in my opinion is a very good choice. So as you've probably noticed already in the video, we've seen the Royal Mail van, and now we've seen the post office van. I mean, that's how integral Morris Minors were to, you know, the running of Great Britain and beyond, is that they were using these vehicles for all sorts of things. And I love the fact that people are bringing these out to shows and you can see them, and everybody who owns these vehicles are so friendly. And if it's your first national rally, people will be very good about coming to show you stuff, and people are very chatty as well, and I love that. And I hope as you're watching this video that if you've never been to a national rally before, and I'll let you in on a secret, I left my first national rally a little bit early because I felt a little bit shy. And honestly guys, if you're watching this at home and you really want to go to a national rally, I would put my hand on my heart and say come along, because everybody is so friendly and so warm and accepting. And as you can see, there's some pretty good artwork on display too, and it's definitely worth a visit wherever you're based in the UK. And as you can see from this vehicle and others I've featured, you don't have to be concourse to come along and have a good time. Everybody is very welcome and accepted, and that's one of the things I love about it so much. Each year there's a branch challenge, and different branches get to compete in a challenge set by the MMOC, and this year, in my opinion, was one of the best. It was the Soapbox Derby, and they got to race down the lawns of Kelmarsh Hall. Now, I was lucky enough to catch up with the winning team and find out what they built for the race. And well done to the Manchester team, who, can you believe, won? And they're also young members, so I thought I'd catch up with them.
So, this is our trike that we built as a team, and we have just won the national rally at Kelmarsh. Is branch challenge. Is it the branch challenge?
I think so.
Yeah, that. Through a series of downhill races and agility challenges, we've come away with this lovely trophy right here. We built this over a series of evenings in the garage that Reese and Matt work at, and the three of us welded and grinded and bodged the thing together, and it came out quite professional, surprisingly. And it handles quite well. It's single seat and you push it to get it going. It's got brakes on all wheels, and yeah, that's about it really.
Look, I'm going to make a confession. My favourite bit of the National Rally isn't actually the cars or seeing my friends. It's actually the evening disco on the Saturday night. And I love it because it's such a wholesome family event. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, everyone can turn up, and it's such a safe environment. So you can just leave your handbag on a chair and not worry. And for me, honestly, this place is just brilliant, and I will never ever stop coming. I just love it. I really hope you've enjoyed my video of the Morris Minor National Rally 2019, and can you believe it? It's my 10th National Rally, and time certainly is flying with all the fun that I'm having, and this year more so than ever. I feel like I've only been here about 5 minutes, and it's so sad. I mean, I thought it was sad enough that I didn't bring a Morris Minor this year, but I've had fun regardless, because if you're sat at home thinking you do need a Morris Minor to come, you don't. You'll have just as much fun no matter what car you bring, and if you've never been before, I hope and pray that I've managed to convince you to come next year, because honestly, it's one of the most fun weekends of the year, and I actually rate it above Christmas. It's that much fun. Anyway, I'm waffling on. As always, new videos go up every Wednesday and every Sunday, and next Sunday will feature a bit more of the National Rally with a few more of the cars in depth from the branch meet. And until next time, take care and drive safely.